Some great meetings, some great just connection with the guys, accountability all across the board, starting with the coaching staff, the players as well. What can we take and what can we learn from this experience, to look at the difficult positions we put ourselves in, really in every phase. And so, that was the message, is like, hey guys, let's not make it about anything else but the ball. Let's get our X's and O's, let's talk fundamentals, and let's improve for next week.
The Derrick Brown injury, when did that happen? When did you guys learn about it? Kind of give us details.
He's not really sure. We're not really sure. It's a physical game, so when you play interior, like there's a lot of funky positions you get into, but it popped up on us. They're getting a second opinion. That's really all I can give you right now. He's, of course, just like Derrick, like the spirit of it. And the one thing I can say is, like, you look at this game, and regardless of the time or the score, it's PAT or it's field goal, and Derrick is rushing with full effort the whole time. It's the spirit of what we want to be about with the finish. And so for a guy like that, to talk to him today, like, he's like, I want to get a second opinion. Like, he wants to make sure that this thing is, to a point where there has to be other, stuff, other things to be taken in consideration. But I don't know when that second opinion is going to happen. They're trying to schedule that, and then I'll have more information for you.
Did he come in this morning and tell you, or was it like an adrenaline thing where he didn't feel?
Yeah, it was. He woke up this morning, and they asked him to go get an MRI immediately so we can gather some information about what's happening.
Can you give us any details of what it is? Are you fearing
it's a meniscus? It's a meniscus injury, and the severity of it is what they're checking on.
Torn?
I think so. Yeah.
If it is that, what is the timeline, would you say?
I don't know. We're going to get that when we get the second opinion.
I did want to clarify, you mentioned he came in this morning, but was there concern at any point yesterday, or when did this first come across?
He was a little bit sore last night, and it just was, it was a lot more so this morning when he woke up, so.
Dave, when you watched the film, especially defensively, what do you think the disconnect was?
It was communication and fundamentals. It was playing proper technique, throughout the game, and it was here and it was there and it was all over the place. So the guys were great about it. They were accountable with it. The coaches, were going right to the basics of our calls, and where we're expecting help and leverage and all those things. So it was the thing that really came out of it off the film.
Do you feel like you could have? We talked about the preseason last night, but do you feel like you needed to rep it differently in practice, or? Like, what's the solution? We're
looking at all of it. So I think my responsibility as the head coach is to say, okay, let's look at all the processes. And we had a plan. We went into into training camp, into the preseason with a plan in mind. The ramp up as we got closer to the season, and felt good about the rep counts and all that. But I got to look at everything. To come out and to, in all phases, have that much to fix. It starts with me. It starts with the process, and it starts with us combing through all of it to see there's nothing you can do about it now, about the past, but looking forward as you circle back around, is there a way that we could have helped more? So
what's your plan at defensive tackle or defensive end if Derrick has to miss?
Yeah, so we got PV up. We have LeBron Ray on the roster, who's looked stronger and stronger. He came back to us after an illness he had in camp, so he's looked better and better. The next guy's got to pop up there, and we're counting on all those guys. Nick Thurman as well. We're counting on all those guys to play with great fundamentals and to just do their job, to do their part, so we can play good team defense.
Before the season started, you said that this would be a team dedicated to the run.
Yeah.
Do you think you committed to that as much as you wanted to this first game? And if not, why?
We really did. And that was not the result we were hoping for. And the emphasis has been that way. We've had a good amount of run reps throughout camp. In our weeks, we believe in it. So offensively and defensively, we feature the things that we think the opponent's going to do. We feature the fronts that we think the opponent's going to play with us against on the offensive side. So the emphasis was there. We didn't get the result we wanted.
Dave, after, I imagine you watched the film, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did you see from Bryce? Wasn't he doing right?
Yeah, I would say from a footwork standpoint, I thought it was a solid day. As we went through the grades, looking at his footwork and the discipline of it, it was there. I think he missed a couple of throws. I think that he's learning some of his guys, and we've gotten all these reps, and we got to keep accumulating those reps, But what I saw from him was just kind of like, missing a few of his opportunities that he had there. And I also have to give the Saints credit for covering us really well. And they made it hard, and they forced accurate throws. And that's something that we have to make sure we cash in on when we have those opportunities.
You had said yesterday that you thought Deontay was open on that first pick. Did the tape reinforce that?
He had a surface. He definitely had a window in there. It was good, tight press coverage. That's the world we live in the NFL when teams are playing man. So I thought there was a surface there, and I thought Bryce just missed him high, and the post safety was in position to make the play.
Dave, you and Dan have been very cognizant about not wanting to talk about last year.
Yeah.
Last year's.
Yes.
When you start like you did yesterday,
Yeah.
and in that fashion, do you get concerned that your fan base is going to be, here we go again?
Fortunately for me, as the head coach of this team, I have to be concerned about the coaches and the players first and foremost, and making sure we take the next step fundamentally. And hopefully everybody can understand the discipline that is required to be in the moment, to be present in this week. The gift we have as of 30 minutes ago, that game's over with. And now we have to move on, and we got the Chargers coming in on Sunday. And so that discipline is huge, and it's a practice, and it's intentionality, and it's something that I have to be really, really strict about with our group is now let's take the next step. We are here. That was us yesterday. We are here today, and we're looking forward to this next challenge and this next opportunity to take the next step. So I have to be focused that way, Joe.
Dave, I understand the fine line you have to walk in terms of preseason, and you don't want to get anybody hurt. You don't want any injuries. Are you in your mind questioning, should I put guys out there more? I mean, to get a little more used to each other, more playing time now?
Again, we got to consider everything, to see if we can put ourselves to take the next step, get ourselves ready for a full season. We have to think about all of it,
Dave, you've had later practices mainly because you wanted to get guys used to the flow of when game time is. How do you think the night before process worked, and then getting to the game, pre-game, how do you think that all kind of came together?
I felt great about the process. I felt great about a camp where, we practiced early for body readiness, and then as we got closer to the season, we moved our practice a little bit later, just so that their readiness and when they're going to play full speed makes sense. So, we've had these guys on a good time clock. But again, I'm considering looking at all of it, and just making sure, in year one, let's just be really honest and really open about our processes and the way we did things to see what the result is. And that's one game. We're going to have to collect some games and then say, did that effect carry out for all these games? Was this game one piece of it an anomaly? To speak specifically about this game, the one thing I will say is we lost in all of the critical areas. We turned the ball over 3 times. They turned it over once. The game was gone by then when we recovered that punt, right? So I can't even count that one towards our turnover ratio. We ended up -3, really, in my mind, in significant time. That alone is enough. Then we gave up 12 explosives on defense, and we only got 4 on offense, and 2 of them happened late in the game. Then you go to 3rd and 4th down. We only converted 3 out of 12 or 13, I think. They were 54% in the same area, so we lost that one as well. We were 1 for 2 in the red zone. They were 4 for 4, so we lost that one as well. So in all of these, if you just win one of these critical areas, you got a really good chance of winning. We lost all 4, and that's when it gets lopsided, and the victory and the loss margin ends up that way because of that. So that's our focus. Let's hone in on these focuses. We've been crazy about the ball. We're going to take it up another notch. We're going to have drills. We're going to make sure that we emphasize it more in our meetings. How much more can we emphasize it? I don't know, but let's find out. Let's find a way to do it. Working as a coaching staff in our 3rd down areas to put our guys in better situations. We talk about the protection issues, on some of the 3rd downs, the sacks, right? We had a scheme. They schemed us better. That's coaching. We have to be able to put our guys in better situation in that regard.
You mentioned the sacks.
Yeah.
All those came from the DB. From a coach offense, like, is it Bryce's responsibility to check out of those? How does that work?
It's both, but honestly, it's on the coaching staff. It's on us. We sat there like we were sitting ducks. We didn't do enough to put our guys, to give them simpler solutions in some of those. And this is one of the best third down pressure packages that you're going to go against. We saw it week 1. We've been against it before. We had a plan. He had counters. So we got out coached in that regard. I take that personal. There was one that Bryce could have seen, and he could have flipped the protection. He's been fantastic doing that. That's the only one I would say that he could have really fixed the problem. They gave us issues with what they did. We need to do better than that. That's coaching.
When you say you take it personal,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Oh, for me, I take it personal anytime that I feel like I'm putting our players at a disadvantage where they don't have simple solutions.
Dave, you've mentioned trying to bond with players at a real human level. When
Yeah.
you're talking them through something like happened today with Derrick, how do they receive that news? I mean, for a guy who means so much to that team.
Especially for a guy like Derrick, who really embodies what we want to become as a team. The effort, the way he comes to work, how hard he tries at practice to get himself ready, how much he cares, how he plays through the end of a game, all the way through in every phase, whenever he's asked to be on the field. He still gives me a great example to point the other guys to say, guys, this is what we want to be like. This is our team. This is how we finish. And the guys definitely take that personally. And I have to just encourage them to say, okay, now whoever goes in next, follow that lead. Play hard. As long as you're on the field with great effort, chase it down, no matter what the score is.
And to follow up on that, yesterday after you mentioned that the adversity is a part of the process in becoming
Yeah.
who this team will be, what is an example that you point to with the team, or even something that you experience that you draw from, that allows you to stay disciplined when there is early adversity?
You know, I didn't really dive too much into that because there's so much fundamental basic stuff to clean up from this game. It's just really, for me, it was like, when you guys watch the film, when we all watch the film together, we're going to have easy things to point at. We're going to have easy things to show that's just like, it's a trust factor. It's execution. It's fundamentals. It's the basics of ball. And that was enough. I just felt like, you know, you only have so much margin to really pour into and draw from your team. And I felt like if our attention can just go on getting our football right, if our attention can just go on playing good, clean ball, did everybody do right? Not that there's ever a perfect game, but like really flipping the odds of like most of the time we were in great position. Most of the time we executed at a high level. That's really where the energy needs to go. Can we take care of the ball? Can we secure it in traffic? Can we do those things that are important, you know, like, so I just have to be really, really cognizant of what I'm asking our team to do before I start to go into like the bigger, you know, the bigger responses to things. Like the best response is, can we just get our football right? So,
You got players that got to replace Derrick.
yeah.
And they got to do their job.
Yeah.
But Derrick does a lot of jobs really well. And
Yeah.
how big of a loss on the big picture of things is that?
Yeah, definitely a huge loss, right? He's one of our best players, so that's something that's big shoes to fill. But at the same time, we get players in there. I want them to know and be encouraged. Like if you go in and you play with great technique and you just do your job, we don't need you to make the special plays that Derrick makes. Just do your job. You help the guys on either side of you, and that's the truth of it. If you can play team football with a bunch of guys, you can have success. And I've seen that happen on both sides, all phases. Really, is everybody doing their job and trusting each other.
Last one from Alex.
Dave, sorry about that.
good.
Building back on the limited rush attempts in the game.
Yeah.
Was that a product of something the Saints were doing, or was that a game situation?
Yeah, it's just a game, right? We got the game got so out of hand, we had to shift modes, and I still wanted to try to mix some of that because, you know, if you allow a team to just kind of play back far enough, they'd cover all your passes. So you got to mix it a little bit, but we just weren't in a position to play our kind of football, something that we've been talking about from the beginning. You got to win on first down. So you have second down, you got your whole call sheet. So you have a manageable third down if you get to it, and you can convert those. You know, and we were not able to play our style of football, so we made it harder on ourselves. When you get into known pass, that's when all the tough coverages, the tough pressures, and all that stuff come. You know, and we just we couldn't do it. We couldn't play the type of football that we want to play.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah. Thank you.